With this new Big Ten media rights deal slated to start this season in 2023, more TV networks, more than just Fox, are going to have access to broadcast the Big Ten championship game. So why not have more cities and stadiums have access to host the Big Ten championship games? Which city, which stadiums should be in the rotation? Before I get into that, just a reminder to hit subscribe if you haven't already. Big Ten content all offseason long. Always crush that like button to spread the word of Big Ten TED to the masses. You've had Fox broadcasting the Big Ten championship in Indianapolis for years now. And now CBS is going to be involved, and they're going to be broadcasting some Big Ten championship games. You've got NBC in the fold as well, all going to broadcast at least one Big Ten championship game before 2030. So why not add to the diversity of the Big Ten championship game with more cities, with more markets, with more stadiums across the Big Ten footprint? It has worked very well on the basketball side of things. The Big Ten tournament has been in Chicago, of course. It was Chicago, like in Indianapolis. It's been in Chicago for years and years, and then they've moved it around to Washington, D.C., Madison Square Garden in New York City. The women's tournament was here in Minneapolis last year. The men's tournament is going to be visiting this next winter. Moving the Big Ten tournament around from market to market gives fans across the Big Ten footprint access to go to these big-time Big Ten events. And there is no bigger Big Ten event than the Big Ten football championship game. Having fans in multiple areas and in multiple markets to have access, to have close access to go to the Big Ten football championship game, I think is very important to grow this game and to be able to grow the Big Ten conference as a whole. Now, Indianapolis, Lucas Oil Stadium, has done a fine job. It is a great place to host a game like this. But there are better options, I think, than Indianapolis and Lucas Oil Stadium. Better options and bigger markets to really grow this game, especially if we're going to be taking the top two teams, where you could see an Ohio State-Michigan rematch, where you could see Penn State against USC, and all of these potentially great matchups. Doing it on a big-time stage is the way to go. All right, let's go into the 5 stadiums that I believe should be in the rotation of the Big Ten championship game. Of course, Indianapolis and Lucas Oil Stadium would stay there. They've done a great job hosting this game, and they are a good market within the Big Ten. Let's go next to my home market, Minneapolis. US Bank Stadium. They've hosted a Super Bowl. They've hosted a Final Four, and this is another market right inside of Big Ten country, more than 60,000 packed in to Minneapolis. And this is a growing market as well. We've talked about the Big Ten basketball tournaments that have, the women's tournament that was hosted here last year. The men's tournament is coming here. The Big Ten is obviously invested, and basketball media days have been in Minneapolis as well. The Big Ten is obviously invested in the Minneapolis-St. Paul market. I'll go with Ford Field in Detroit. It is an indoor stadium, and I need to say this before I continue more. Indoor stadiums are a must. You got to go with a climate-controlled venue. I know before, a few years ago, Lambeau Field said, hey, we want to host a Big Ten championship game. Yeah, I don't know if that's going to happen exactly in a postseason game. I'm not sure if that's best for the Big Ten to have a Snow Bowl or a 10-degree game for your conference championship game. So Ford Field in Detroit, I think it is a solid market, solid venue. I kind of compare it a lot to maybe something like Indianapolis. But these next two is where the Big Ten really shoots into another stratosphere. The first one I'm going to talk about, SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles, California. It might be one of the best stadiums out there in the world right now, coming off of hosting the Super Bowl, coming off of hosting WrestleMania, coming off of hosting some of the biggest events in sports and entertainment. SoFi Stadium, and you got to think with those two teams, USC and UCLA, being on a little bit of an island out there, you got to think that maybe we want a Big Ten championship game in our neck of the woods. And having a Big Ten title game in Los Angeles gets people used to the fact that Los Angeles is Big Ten country, and it builds awareness to the Big Ten Conference in the Los Angeles area. Having a game of this magnitude in a market like LA, can you imagine the week and the days leading up to this game, what the hype, what the interest would be in a place like Los Angeles, California? Last one I'm going to talk about is a stadium that's not built yet, and technically it's not even approved yet, and it's Chicago. There's reports they want to get out to Arlington Heights in the suburbs to build a stadium, and then Soldier Field kind of combated back, says, hey, we'll put a dome on our stadium, we'll create a whole entertainment district. Whatever they do, the Dome Stadium in Chicago is also a must to host a Big Ten championship game. This is Big Ten country. Chicago is headquarters of the Big Ten Conference, and what better place to have the Big Ten football championship game than the headquarters, just right outside in the shadow of the headquarters of the Big Ten Conference. This is a place. Chicago wants to bring big-time events to their city with this Dome Stadium. It's not just because the Chicago Bears want to play in a 60 and 70 degree climate controlled venue. It's because Chicago wants to bring bigger events like the Super Bowl, like the WrestleManias, like the Big Ten championship game, like big time concerts to the Chicago area. Los Angeles and Chicago, I think, are the big gets in terms of hosting the Big Ten championship game. The sheer number of people, the sheer population in those areas, I think will grow the Big Ten Conference, especially out west in LA, where maybe people aren't as familiar with the Big Ten Conference. So, multiple networks, multiple sites, multiple cities, multiple stadiums, grows the Big Ten into the true nationwide conference that it is and that it can be. Big Ten. 10 isn't a number anymore. It's an acronym. Tradition, excellence, nationwide. Do you agree with the cities and the sites and the stadiums that I posted below? Do you want to see the Big Ten Championship played in outdoor stadiums, like at MetLife in New York, like in Pittsburgh, like in Philadelphia? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'm Big Ten Ted. We will see you in the next one.